Hello everybody and welcome to this Train Sim World 4 route suggestion. Today we will be having a look at the Harrogate line, or the Harrogate loop line, as it was originally suggested by Subi. Apologies if I mispronounced that, or if it even has a pronunciation, who knows. If you want me to make a route of your own, there's a link to my Discord server in the description. Join that. There's a channel called Suggestions, and you can leave it there. And if I think it is a particularly good route, or good piece of content, or good something, then I will make it. So without further ado, let's have a look. So the Harrogate loop line, or the Harrogate line, I've seen both used, is a 39-mile long or 62-kilometre long line between Leeds and York. Obviously not as direct as the main line that you would take up the East Coast main line, instead serving some more regional communities. Although Harrogate Station did seem to be quite big on an initial look, first glance. Got 14 stations, fairly evenly spaced. I mean, obviously there's a bit of density around Harrogate. Harrogate? I feel like it's Harrogate, but I could be wrong. There's a maximum speed of 65 miles an hour, which feels slow, especially considering these long straights. But I guess it's a it's a secondary route, so maybe that would make for an interesting driving experience. And there's also the Bramhope Tunnel between Horsforth and Wheaton. And these station names, they're almost as bad as Australia. But yeah, so there's a pretty interesting route, and of course there's large termini at each end, which have appropriate rolling stock that could be layered in. Speaking of the rolling stock, I reckon that the big feature of this route should be the 170, considering every picture I could possibly find on this route had a 170 Turbo Star in it, in Northern livery. I know they run the 150s, 155s, 158s, and whatnot sometimes. And we do have a 150 that could be modified, and we do have a 158 that can be re-liveried. But I think it would be cooler to have that new type of train. And the 170s are very widespread, and if they got introduced through this route, then that would allow for 170s to be used in a lot more routes, and potentially reallocated to routes where they could benefit. So like a 171 on London to Brighton, say, or 171s in Eastbourne. I think that's where they run up to Ashford or something. And 170s dotted around the place as well, because they'd be used all over the country, aren't they? And yeah, for the modified ones, we've got the 150 Sprinter. I know they'd need a bit of work, having the front gangway taken off, and obviously a new livery and new sounds and physics. And a Class 800, which, there's got the bodywork for an 801, and that's a fair bit of work on the physics and the semigraph stuff for all of that. So I'm not really... That would be it'd be nice, because there's a few LNER services that sort of make the driving experience a little bit more different, but potentially that would come as a paid DLC later, and then that would layer back onto the East Coast mainline. And then, of course, as a layer, we could have the 158 Express Sprinter, considering that wouldn't need too much extra work other than the new livery. Alright, and now the timetable. It's not huge, but at the same time, it's not tiny. There's 2 trains per hour per direction across the whole line from Leeds to York and back, and they take about an hour and 15 minutes, although it can take up to 1 hour 20 minutes, or it could take as little as 1 hour 10 minutes, but most of them seem to be like 1:14, so call it 1:15. And there is 1 train every 4 hours, or 6 trains per day. LNER fast services from Harrogate to Leeds, which take about 30 minutes. And then they also have a bit of a head shunt into some sidings at Harrogate. You're looking at Harrogate Station there. So not small, it looks reasonably busy for a secondary route station with only 2 platforms, but we can see there's the 170 making an appearance, which is why I think it would be a great candidate for this route. And layers. Now, this has quite some scope to layer. Of course, we can have the 323 coming in as AI. We can have the 801 coming in as AI in Leeds and York. We can have East. Could we have East Midlands? I'm sure you'll let me know. All of this stuff. But the big ones that we could actually drive would be the Class 66, whether you own that in One Rail livery, or DRS livery, or s-bahn livery, or EWS livery, or whatever you have it in. You could drive that on freight runs, obviously. And the railhead treatment train, which, I presume it might not clean the rails up there. I don't know. I'm going out on a limb and saying it will. And, to be honest, if this is a Dovetail Games route, they'd whack it on anyway, just for the extra flexibility and extra driving experience. I guess you could have some kind of fictional repositioning run, although you could say that about anything. And I've snuck in some rail tours as appropriate, because I think, what's not to love about some good old British Rail blue. And I did see an old sort of period photo of a 37 thrashing up the line, which looked fucking awesome. And obviously never going to give up the opportunity to drive the 37 on a new route. So that is the Harrogate line. Obviously, I'm not expecting this to ever happen. If it does, that is just coincidence. These are not route predictions. These are route suggestions. Thanks again to Subi for suggesting it. And once more, if you want me to do your own route, jump onto the Discord server and stick it into the suggestions channel. I'm going live tomorrow. We're going to be doing a bit of Bernina Railway fun. Found a way that I can sort of niggle around some of the monetary aspect. Basically, I'm going to buy the Bernina Bahn for Train Sim Classic and then play it for under 2 hours and then refund it, because I don't want to. I'm not going to buy it if I'm going to buy the Train Sim World version anyway. But I will be streaming it, so if you want to see that, see what the route will sort of be like and how the Allegra sort of responds, then join that tomorrow at 7:40 Australian Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry, this one's been a bit of a drag. I've been talking for too much. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Have a fantastic day. Goodbye.